You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you do not have the hearts and minds of the people to work with you, none of it comes to life. Said by Rennie West. Hello viewers, my name is Akash Kholap. I am a student at SRCC GBO. The world of HR has changed drastically over the past decade. So it's no surprise that the role of HR has evolved too. Thanks to the slew of technologies that the ramifications are exemplary. Today at SRCC, we are really delighted and happy to introduce to you a student-alumnus initiative, an R with HR. This initiative brings to you a platform to experience the impeccable journey of some inspiring leaders from the industry. So today, for our first episode, we have Mr. Sidharath Tuli, who is the founder and CEO at People Sculptor. Mr. Sidharath Tuli has pursued his Masters in Management Studies from BITS Pilani and also an Advanced Management program from Kellogg Business School, Northwestern University. Sidharath is a certified leadership coach and soft skills facilitator and a certified organization development consultant. He is an experienced HR professional who has worked in leadership positions for major Indian and multinational organizations across a range of industries: FMCG, oil and gas, cement and infrastructure, and many more. In his various assignments, he has worked and delivered diverse organizations as Unilever, Reckitt Benckiser, Punj, Lyod, and Heidelberg Cement. He can also facilitate leadership development, organization development initiatives, and anchor HR inventions in the field of talent management, performance management, and change management. He also serves as a consultant to Harvard Business Publishing and is also associated with Udemy as a premium instructor. So friends, please join me in welcoming for our first episode with an R with HR, Mr. Sidharath Tuli.
We'll begin with the very first question, and since the subject is HR, we have this feeling, or let's say it's a prevalent industry perspective, that HR is seen as a poster child of MBA. It is perhaps not given its due, maybe it doesn't ask for its due, and it's never really seen at par with finance, with marketing. What's your perspective on it?
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, and thanks for inviting me. Priya, that's a very interesting question, and I struggle with it, and in my career, and I know that that's a question which bothers a lot of people. I'll take a bit of time to explain this in the very beginning of the talk. Now, if you were to go and interview or question CEOs around the world, not only in India, what is your biggest challenge, right? There's a very high chance that most of them would say that my biggest challenge is managing my human capital. Right? So the CEOs acknowledge that their biggest challenge is managing the human capital. And then if you ask a second question to them, okay, what kind of ranking would you give to HR as a function? Okay? Now, that's the time the trouble begins to start. They would say HR is probably 6th or 7th or 8th, and you know, my most important function is marketing or business development or strategy or finance or operations, and they won't name HR among the top 5. So what's happening here? Why these CEOs recognize that the biggest challenge is maximizing the potential of capital? The HR function is given a low ranking, right? So we need to understand that. And for understanding this, you need to understand the perspective of the CEO. The CEO would like to have HR as their sparring partner, much like they have their CFO. Okay, in deciding the working capital, the capital raising strategies, the profitability, etc. They would want to engage with their CHRO or their head of HRs in terms of leveraging on their strength of understanding the people, their understanding of the people, and linking it with to understand the organization's strengths and weaknesses, the talent retention strategies, the talent engagement strategies, in sync with the overall business strategy. And once they start doing this, they find that some of them, or most of the HR heads, fall short of it. The HR heads have a challenge in understanding the business connection. Okay, that's where the challenge. They're very good in performance management. They're very good in understanding industrial relations. They're very good when it comes to understanding or implementing compensation practices. But the challenge happens, when you ask them, why is this division not performing? What is the reason that our business has not performed in terms of the human capital? So once that happens, there lies the big challenge. And there's a positive side to it, but I think Priya wants to.
But here, when you say this, I think you are implying that it is the responsibility of budding HR managers and existing CHROs to put forth the point that yes, we are important.
Yeah.
Yes, we can add value to the business. It is their responsibility at the end of the day to make their importance be felt.
Yeah. It goes without doubt that where some of the people or most of the people fall short is developing that business acumen. I mean, ideally, as Priyam says, all of you should be able to analyze the balance sheet as well as your finance or the operations counterpart does. You should be able to understand your funds flow, your working capital requirement, the business strategy, how the business strategy links to the people strategy. So, yeah, if HR people fail to make that business connection, then just dwelling on your MBTIs is not going to help a lot. Okay, that's the limited point I'm making. That in addition to being great at understanding performance management, industrial relations, compensation, etc., you have to be very good in linking it with the business.
So I think all those people who think that they're not cut out for HR should perhaps enhance their skills and capabilities in that direction and then rethink that.
Yeah, I think they need to do that, and that's the biggest challenge, because the senior leadership very often feels that HR fails to understand the business realities and sometimes lives in their own little cocoon.
Right. So our next question is slightly from the student's perspective. We often have a lot of companies recruiting for internships when we pursue MBA, and when you look at the JD, it looks very promising, but you never really get to know what is it going to be like when I sit in the chair and do my day job. What are the responsibilities going to be like? From if you look at it from an outside perspective, it just looks like, all right, perhaps it's going to be nice, perhaps it's not going to be nice, but you never really get to know the real picture unless you do it. And when you actually get to do it, you're already there in the soup. So maybe it's just too late to go back and go for another internship. What would you say to such students? What's your advice here?
Look, if these days, first of all, it's not very difficult to get a perspective of any organization. Okay, with Glassdoor and so much of social media, if you're smart, it's not very difficult to get the, if I may use the word, the Google rating of an organization, right? But having said that, I think no organization is perfect. No organization is perfect. And you need to do your own research. You need to find out what are the opportunities that the organization is offering me. Okay, would they stand by them? What is more important here is the kind of opportunity you're getting. I used to do a lot of campus recruitment in my earlier companies, and I thought that the students were looking at package. What is my package? I would say that more important than the package is the learning opportunity that you are getting there, because it's a 30-year career and a few years.
When you mentioned that, Sidharth, tell me something. There are always some pitfalls that one should be cautioned against. What are some pitfalls over here that perhaps people should be aware of? Pitfalls to avoid? Anything that you would think that students should look for in an ideal HR internship, if there is one?
Oh, okay. So that again, I'm saying that again, look at the project that you have to offer. Look at the seriousness of the company. I mean, there are some companies which just recruit an intern. Okay, many organizations, many institutions approach me for internship, and I have told them that I will only take them when I have a project. I do a lot of projects on change management, on the people side of change. Okay, I'm a OD consultant, so so if I have a great project, for example, the one currently with the government, if I get a similar project, I would love to put people there, because that's on the ground learning of how you manage change in a difficult environment like the government. Okay, so if the organization is offering you a project, it has a brief given there, and sometimes they allow you to interact with the HR head or with the HR manager to talk, get more details about it. So in the past, I have known, and this is also a good signal for me from the organization, which are the students who are more proactive in terms of seeking details about it.
Things like a rotating internship versus one which stresses on specialization in, let's say, one function.
What's the period of internship you're talking about?
2 months. That's the
Only
regular
so.
job.
Look, if you really want to do a good job, 2 months is not a long period of time.
But that happens to be the standard duration.
Yeah, so it's better. I think it would be better to take one project and go through it. If the organization gives you a quick 3 days or 2 days orientation, that's great of them, okay? But otherwise, I would say that depending on the project, if you do one project well, understand it, that will give you a peep into what the organization is doing, and you will certainly understand, are the senior managers willing to spend time, is the person who recruited you, the HR head, deputy HR head, willing to, when I was the HR head, I made it a point to see the final presentation of each HR trainee or each trainee in my organization.
That, I'm sure, must have been an ideal internship for the trainees. Well, in that case, let me report the next question. The skill set makes for a very, very important section in a student CV. And everybody wants to acquire as many skills as possible during their 2 years of MBA duration. So, are there any must-have skills for a budding HR manager, or let's say eventually a CHR?
That's a great question. See, you will have the conventional skills. What are the conventional skills? Performance management, okay, learning and development, facilitation, industrial relations. Okay, these skills you would find on the CV of every HR aspirant. But from my point of view, I think 2-3 skills that can give you a real competitive advantage are people analytics, number one. Okay? I do not know if you are doing a course on big data analytics or people analytics, but your ability to draw insight from the data, from moving from descriptive analytics to predictive analytics to prescriptive analytics, the journey. You should understand the journey from descriptive to predictive to prescriptive, which really means that do you have the skill to draw out patterns, to draw out insights from the mass of data about the organization and develop and test your hypothesis. Okay? These days a lot of softwares are available. Tableau, for example, I do a course on people analytics, and on the second day, the participants of that course go through what is called Tableau, and in one day they kind of do it. So it is not so time consuming, but I would say that in today's day and age, your ability to understand and grapple with data is very critical. HR is no longer a touchy-feely function. HR derives its insights from data and then applies its actions. It's becoming a harder science, not so much of a softer science. Okay. Having said that, that's the number one skill I would say that people need to have. The number two is change management. Okay. We are living in a VUCA world, and I'm not going to describe what VUCA is. Okay. But constant change. Change is the only constant. And people need to understand how to facilitate change. You may, I don't know, very often you may not be able to lead a change, Okay? But you should understand how to facilitate the change, how to manage the change. And the change, it can be anything. It can be organizational structure, it can be organizational culture, it can be a new HR process, it could be a digital transformation. So the change can come in various shapes and sizes. But you need to understand how to, and it's not easy, okay? While Kotter has defined the 8 steps for change management, there's a whole science behind it. How do you assess change readiness? How do you assess stakeholder engagement or commitment, the impact that the stakeholders make? How do you monitor that throughout the life cycle of a change? 70% of change efforts fail. So if you can make a few change management efforts successful, you'll get a great name. And the third one is collaboration. Okay? I think people need to understand how to work more collaboratively, how to make the culture of the organizations more collaborative. Okay, what is the definition of collaboration? To me, it's very simple. It says it is a process for people who see different aspects of a problem, are willing to develop an understanding and come to a solution. The output which was not clearly visible to them before they started attempting the question. So, how do you understand how to work collaboratively? Are you capable of building collaborative structures, culture in the organization? That's the third skill, and I will stay here at these 3 at the moment. In addition to all that, which is conventionally there, this can give you a complete.
Those are some really good insights, Sidharath. But when we talk about change management, and you've been a facilitator of changes in a lot of big names, in a lot of big companies, so what changes have you seen in leadership with these developments that are coming in IT and automation? With regard to the skills and the competencies, and since we're talking about HR, so we'll keep it to that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I need, again, a bit of time for this. See, some things about leadership are not changing. The leader needs to have vision, needs to have hope, positivity, passion. So some things about leadership are not changing, even things like EQ. Okay, for a long time Daniel Goleman has been saying, and if you read Daniel Goleman, he's been talking about EQ versus IQ, and he's saying, and Daniel Goleman has said that, the competencies required in terms of emotional quotient, I'm not getting into it, for example, empathy, self-awareness, resilience, motivation, these are more important, twice as important as IQ at a senior level. So those are well documented, meta-analysis over the last 40, 50 years have clearly taught. What is, I think, 2-3 things that are changing really is the first one, and there's a lot of things we'll talk about, is curiosity. Okay? Well, curiosity made this world. Okay? And what is curiosity? Curiosity is the penchant for new experiences, new knowledge, new feedback. Okay? And people who are curious are more innovative, are better able to solve the problems that face them. So I would say that leaders need to, and it has, research has shown that it is the driver for potential and performance. Okay? Potential is, as you would know, defined as three sub-competencies, which is engagement, insight, and determination, and also the leadership, 7 leadership competencies. If you ask me a question, I can go through which are these 7 leadership competencies, but it has a positive influence. Curiosity is most important in potential and performance. The second one I would say is humility. मुझे नहीं आता. If you can, in my earlier days as a management trainee, as a young manager, junior manager, we used to look upon our leaders as having all the answers. The leaders in today's generation need not have all the answers, and they should have the courage of saying, I don't know this, I'm willing to learn. George Bernard Shaw said, and very beautifully, that the problem with this world is that the stupid people are cocksure, and the people who are really intelligent are full of doubt. Okay? So the point is that in today's fast-changing world, fast knowledge, humility, ability to learn, ability to be flexible, change, accept your vulnerability is very important. And the third one, quickly I would say, is decision-making under uncertainty. You should not have the temptation of using your gut, your instinct to solve complex problems of today. But you should be able to build a kind of a team which will challenge your point of view. You should encourage people who will challenge you, who will have a host of multiple perspectives. And the last one, I would say, a change is the leader needs to see through a microscope as well as a telescope. Most of the people are either good in execution or are good in establishing vision. You should be able to see through a telescope the trends that they can see 5 to 10 years from now, the vision. They should be able to see what not many people are able to see. But also, they should have their feet firmly planted on the ground and be good in execution. Should be able to dot the I's and cross the T's. So these are some of the 3-4 things, I think, that are changing in the emerging leadership. And one very important point which I forgot to miss is that with the automation, a study has been done by Accenture, and you can Google it, with 1,400 executives around the world. And that study has been done, how managers spend their time across various nationalities. They found out that more than 53% to be precise, was the amount of time managers were spending in routine administration and coordination. Now with the automation, as you talk about, this will suddenly evaporate. Okay, you would not need to juggle with shifts. All your administrative work would be gradually reduced because of automation, because of AI. And then what would you do with your time?
In that case, I'm sure one can say, I don't know more often, because there would be a computer out there doing the job for us. Just that we shouldn't say, I don't know too often to the boss. Perhaps we get kicked out of that.
And in that extra time that you get, you can then devote to coach your team. Innovate more, develop your people more. So that's a positive aspect.
So we were talking about change and how you facilitated change and change management in various companies. Is there an initiative that you remember or a policy, any change that you made and it struck a chord with the employees in the organization? What made it successful? Why do you think it was so important, and what were the benefits that came out of it, the fruits that came out of it?
It brings a smile on my face. I was very young. I was in Unilever. I was working in a factory, garden teach factory in Kolkata. It was a second or third generation factory, one of the oldest factories of Unilever. At that time, 62 years old. Okay, and it had recruited people who didn't know how to read, write. You know, in the 30s and 40s, and then their children had joined, and it was an older factory and needed parivartan, needed change. So we launched an initiative many years ago called Parivartan, which is in English means change, and we started, and it was really unionized. Mamta is these days, but those days it was Shri, okay? Heavily unionized. We will not let you do anything. Okay? No new initiative. So we started talking to workers. We started calling them in training classes and talking with the Parivartan and making the change. And I stumbled upon this thing called quality circles. Okay? The concept is great. So we got a set of workers to work on a project. And we did a lot of work, a lot of projects came up, but I want to just highlight one because of time, and it's very dear to me. We had these canteen workers. It was a huge canteen, about 2,500, 3,000 workers used to work, so it was a huge canteen. There were about 50 to 60 workers in the canteen, and they volunteered to be part of this quality circle movement. They were all illiterate. None of them had studied beyond 8th class. They were putting masala in the dal and cooking rice, roasting chapatis. Okay, they got so engaged with this quality circle thing, and they mastered the 7 tools. They could make graphs and they could make presentations, and they made a PowerPoint presentation. And such was the transformation that in the QCFI, Quality Circle Federation of India, competition held nationally, they win the first prize. I have never seen, this is a real example of a Pygmalion management. the Pygmalion effect, something that was seen in the film called My Fair Lady. I wish I could talk about that story. Haven't seen it, go ahead and see it. It's black and white, but a real classical movie. So that was, people behave the way they are treated. And I was so surprised by this transformation.
Thank you so much for sharing the story with us. We'll move on to our next question, which is about the job hopping trend. So, switch for satisfaction or stay for stagnancy. People keep thinking about it, and then it's not really spoken too much about because HRs mostly are struggling to make changes, the right kind of changes in their organization, to tackle crazy attrition rates, to do something to retain more employees. Employees, on the other hand, keep switching companies, and sometimes they, somewhere down the line, they feel like, oh, maybe I should have switched. Maybe that was a wrong career move. I was better off in the old organization. I made the switch, maybe I'm getting more money, but then I don't have any job satisfaction here. What is your perspective on this prevalent scenario?
Well, I have hopped many jobs. Okay? I have no regrets. Okay. See, because life looks very nice looking back in time. Okay? The time you're taking a decision, you're considering the factors that are before you. Okay? So it's very easy to say in hindsight, कि ऐसा करना चाहिए था. All right. So my point is this, that people change. We are very ambitious. Okay? We are very competitive. We are very ambitious. All of you would want to be in the CHRO chair in a few years' time, not even 10 years. So how do you manage that aspiration? And that's why people hop. And many times people hop managers. Okay? People don't hop companies, but people hop managers. So I think, in Daniel Pink's book, The Drive, it's a very nice thing he's written about motivating people. He's saying you can motivate people, and other than competitive salaries, okay? And except at a low level, people don't switch jobs for money so much, okay? And shouldn't. But he's saying that money should be competitive, okay? You need to pay your bills, and money is important, but not to an extent. But he's saying there are three things to motivate people. One is purpose, the second one is autonomy, and the third one is mastery. So if an HR head or an organization can provide a combination of these three meaningful jobs to people, the retention rate would be higher. But if something is missing, one of these elements is missing, there's no autonomy. For example, I have changed jobs when I found there was no autonomy at all. Everything was being dictated. There was no freedom being given to you. Okay, I have changed jobs when I found there's no opportunity to be world class in training or in some of the things that I wanted to do. So if you can create conditions like this, people will stay more. But then, Priyam, I cannot understand why people stay in the public sector. Right? Public sector has just 2 to 3. I cannot say more, but of these three elements which I've talked to you, I'm not sure that any of these elements is present there. So all my friends, particularly in ONGC, the past HR directors, the current are my batchmates. I was in ONGC. So I'm unable to figure out why the security and the cushiness of jobs could be so important to youngsters rather than the challenge, the mastery. किसी से पूछोगे बोलेंगे ना, I want a great challenging job. But you have a job with Gale or ONGC and you have a job with XYZ company, which will you select? I don't know. Many people will fall for the first one. So I don't have an answer to this one, except to say that even levers, okay? We had a challenge. When the liberalization happened, there's so many people left, and there's so many, but then they go for bigger opportunities. So you would need to take a call at that point in time, what is good for my career? All I can say is, please don't change the job only for money. In the initial years, 8 to 10 years, you should try and grapple with all the facets of HR and the learning should be more critical than just the compensation.
Perhaps all the managers should ensure that their employees get more opportunities, and employees on the other hand should keep looking for those opportunities out there. Perfect. So you have had a very, very interesting career. You started with the public sector, moved on to the private sector, and then you finally decided to go ahead with your calling, People Sculptors. We would like to learn from your journey. Take us through your goals, your apprehensions, the transitions, the inhibitions, and of course, the overcomings, which I'm sure would have come in with a fair share of failures. So we would like to know them too.
Oh, I've failed more than I have succeeded. I think it goes without saying. Look, I passed out as an engineer and a management graduate from Pilani, and I was a flunky. Okay, I was very average, and I just wanted a job for a living. Okay, I wanted to get married to a pretty girl and have a cushy life, and that was my dream. Okay, but something happened personally with me, and I changed course, and I said now, and that took me to the path of mastery. But for the first few years, I was a wastrel. I wasn't really following my passion, and I didn't even know what my passion was. And maybe during the question and answer session, I want to talk about this or offline, about how does one find the passion. So I struggled, but then this event happened, and then I kind of, and certain circumstances of life gave me the right breaks at the right time, and I moved from public sector, ONGC, to Unilever. Okay, very few people in Unilever had come from my kind of a background. It was difficult initially to settle in a top-notch MNC, bluest of the blue, and then I made that journey, and after working for 10 years, I moved to another FMCG, Reckitt Benckiser. I was the head of HR for India, and then when my aspiration of becoming an HRD or HR director or CHRO was not being met there for the region, I moved, and since then I have always been the HR head of companies like L&T globally, or Heidelberg Cement, or Punj, where I also did a business role. So I have kind of taken breaks. What has kept me going is the quest to round up my skills, and I always wanted to be counted as one of the best HR guys in the country. It's still work in progress, and the best is yet to come, I think. The only point about the entrepreneurship is that at some point in time I thought it's enough. I don't want to discourage you, but I got fed up with this corporate slavery. ऐसा करो, ऐसा मत करो, ऐसा हो सकता है, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. And I said, let me create my own world. I'm fiercely independent. So I said that if that is my number one value, if courage is my number one value, whenever I speak out, I get hit, I better try and attempt to make a name on my own and do what I'm good at. So I took this very difficult decision to start my own company, and I can tell you it's not easy. But I thought I would rather follow my calling, my heart, rather than continue to be where I was.
You say that it's not easy, and you also mentioned the highs and lows that you went through. Was there one skill, a life skill, a master skill, which kept you going, which you feel just held you there, which helped you sail through your highs and lows? More so because I'm sure you had more highs and lows because you decided to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's a great one. If I think back on it, I think my continuous ability to sharpen my saw. Okay, even when I was a student, even when I was a manager, I used to read a lot of books. I'm part of the Harvard business community in India. Okay, I am the panel of their facilitators. And when I went for my screening, they screened their facilitators. I said that pick any issue in the last 15 years and I would have read most of the articles. Okay? So you tell me which article and I can tell you who our author is and what was the brief, idea in brief. HBR always has this. So my point is that I've tried to sharpen my saw as I went along, and even I'm past 50. I have enrolled for my PhD. I've cleared all the formalities. I've got my topic done, but I've not yet written my thesis. I've done my certification in organization development from NTL USA. I've done my certification in leadership coaching. I try and read at least one book a week. So I earn my living by sharing my knowledge. Okay? I don't have factories. I don't have big assets. The only asset is down here, up here. So that's one life skill which has saved me. And when I left the job, this was what I wanted to take recourse to or resort to, because this is what I knew how to do well.
Sidharath, there's also another thing. It is often advised that one should have a mentor in the corporate world. So while you were going through the highs and the lows and your rather adventurous journey, was there a mentor in your life who helped you, who led you through those highs and lows?
Yes and no. I had a series of mentors. For example, when I went to Unilever, I had a torrid time because I was a star in ONGC, okay? I was a star. And here I was just somebody, okay? I felt miserable. I was a young guy, 27, 28, 29 at that time. And I couldn't handle my fall from stardom. and then there are chalk and cheese. While I was doing a great job in ONGC, I was with the chairman of the company in the MSG, but like an executive assistant. But here the things were different. And then Mr. Nanda, who was the vice president HR, head of HR, took me, and I resigned. I got a great job with Gale, two promotions. I said, to hell with it. Within 5 months, 6 months, I resigned. He mentored me, called me, and he explained me that we live in little microscopic worlds, okay? If this world is bad, doesn't mean the whole of Levers is bad. And how right he was, how prophetic he was. And he said that, I'm now going to change your department, okay? So he put me in IR. And I had never done IR. I had not even run F of Factories Act, okay? But he put me into that role. So a mentor is one who puts more trust in you than you have in yourself. And I think that's what Naren did. And there have been a few more mentors going down the line, but I think Mr. Nanda stands out as a great mentor for placing his trust in me when I had lost faith in myself.
On a very light note, I also know that you have dabbled a little with yoga. So, do you think yoga also played a role somewhere down the line?
Yes, more than yoga, I don't look at my Punj, but I do a rigorous workout, okay? And I take a course, in that course I talk about the 4 dimensions of energy. And one of the dimensions of energy is the physical energy. And in my worst of times, okay, it is this morning routine of doing rigorous exercise and part yoga and part meditation has really helped me be more resilient, the energy and the will to fight back and the positivity. And there's a scientific reason for that, because once you do a workout, the body secretes what is called as happy hormones, serotonin and oxytocin, etc. So yeah, more than yoga, including yoga, it has been my physical workout, which is
Perfect. So perhaps we'll get our little dose of endorphins and dopamine. We'll quickly move to our audience to ask some questions. Can we have some members from the audience?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Reckitt Benckiser, and on behalf of the entire GBO batch, I express sincere thanks for the wonderful insights. That being said, let me demand some more. Since the session has revolved around change management and its scope, just yesterday, Paytm's parent company 197 deposited all of its current assets and mutual fund investments with ICICI Bank to meet its working capital of a meager 1400 rupees crore. That too, when the losses of the previous quarter extended to around humongous amount of rupees 1800 crore. Now 197, the parent company, has been expanding massively, and since it's been in the mud or the puddle, as we can say, it's been expanding massively over the horizons of hotel booking industry, web searching and all such things. So do you think the synergies created in the midst of all this is off balancing the parent company as well as Paytm, since they have to deposit all of their current assets for a meager working capital loan? And how would they manage it? Obviously there would be some technicalities, the technical reasons for which they have been doing that, but do you think is the management fruitful?
But that's the nature of the beast of a startup, right? Look at Amazon, look at Uber, look at Oyo. I mean, the criteria which you apply to a brick and mortar company, you don't apply to a startup. The valuation of a startup has nothing to do with its losses. I think it's only the first year that Amazon is beginning to turn around. For many, many years, 20 years, Amazon never showed a profit. Uber is today also not showing a profit. None of these startups get their valuation because of profits. They get their valuation by what? By showing how big they would become. Okay? They show their valuations by the steep growth rates that they would achieve. So Paytm is doing nothing. I mean, and there are no state banks of India or Punjab National Banks which fund them. It is the venture capitalist money. SoftBank. So it is the venture capitalist money which gets into these startups. So don't evaluate them by the yardstick of profit. They are not. I don't think they are in a mess. I don't think they are. They just want to grow. They want to grow faster than all these other people who are trying to catch up with them. So, but it's a process of change. And what happens is that in this process of change, somewhere we forget about what is the culture that we want to build. Okay? And that's the lesson which some HR head should tell them is that what are we doing about keeping the people cued into the values of Paytm. I do not know what they are. But are they staying with that? Are they abandoning it? Are they reinforcing it? That becomes very important when they become a large company. Okay. For example, if I look at Amazon, I can still spot, a thread of uniformity in their culture across US, across India. Now, is that happening in Paytm in terms of change management? That is the question. In terms of the hard change, that once we acquire a hotel chain or whatever you are saying, how will we manage it? That is a change process to do. But the people side of change, if you ask me, that is critical to manage, and they must do what happens most of the time with these startups. And in fact, when I started my career, I wanted to work with startups to help them. What happens is that initially they are a small team, they all know each other. But once they become big, that coziness of relationships, intimacy of relationships is gone. And then, this has been the fate of many of the earlier startups in India, housing.com, etc. And they face this problem. So it's more of an HR problem of managing the same set of people than a business problem.
Thanks. GBO. Sir, when I look at people's Sculptors, we are into strategical consulting for maintaining human capital. Sir, at a very elementary level, as a fresher going through this management course, when we see ourselves as a human resource, we look to get the best for ourselves from this course, be it placement, learning, or whatever course they are. When we try to develop a strategy for ourselves to get the best of us, as what all capital we have as human beings, it comes with a lot of preconceived notions and ideas. Now, sir, from your experiences, what can be a near foolproof strategy to get the best for ourselves, the human resource for ourselves from the course that we go through, the management course? So what kind of strategy should we build to get the best for us?
So what do you think is your expectation from this course, from this 2-year course? Okay, what is your expectation which is not being fulfilled? And you have your professor here. Okay, so what is it not being fulfilled?
Sir, we have resources with us. There is no lack of resources. Now I'll give you an example what goes on when we build a strategy. Now there are two suggestions given to us. You diversify yourself, you try HR, marketing, human resource, you try operations, and then some of them come with an idea. You select your field first and then go for a specialization and go through it. Now as a fresher we don't have a much real idea. All we saw is, as you even mentioned, that talk to your alumni, talk to your seniors, and then go through it. So sir, what are you've been through this journey? You've been through this journey and you've come a long way. So what would you suggest in this? How should our thinking should be? How should we think?
Depends upon your passion, okay? I don't have time, but you have to find, there's a beautiful word in Japanese called ikigai. You have to find your own ikigai, and it's unique. My ikigai cannot be your ikigai, okay? So, my fulfillment may not be your area of fulfillment. My only advice now to you would be that you do your own self-reflection. You do your own, you delve deep into your mind. You do your own introspection, for lack of a better word, and find out what is it that drives you. What is your passion? Okay, is business development your passion, or people development is your passion, or numbers is your passion? Okay, I made the same mistake with my son. Okay, my son had no interest in engineering. I forced him. Okay, and he was miserable in that. I don't even know how to clear that. But now he is doing a course like yours, and he's very happy because he always said, "I'm more of humanities guy. I'm more of a, non-engineering kind of a guy." So you need to figure out what is your passion, and now your next question will be, how do I find my passion? You start thinking about it. Okay, devote some time on self-reflection. What is it that interests you? Is the brand strategy, communication strategy, the business strategy interests you more, or is it about the books that you read, the kind of books that you read, the kind of articles that you read, or is it the culture of the organization, the development of the people, talking to people, facilitating people, that interests you? And mind you, you can always come back to whatever you want to do. It's a big myth. I did business, okay? I did procurement, estimation, contracts, safety. I have not done it. The illiterates, as Alvin Toffler has said, illiterates of the 21st century are not those who can't read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So that's okay. I mean, even if you don't figure out the passion in these 2 years, whenever you figure out, you can always. I've seen marketing people coming into my field and doing coaching and doing training. I've seen HR guys becoming business heads, etc. So, but the trick is to find what excites you and spend all your life doing that. A long answer to a short question.
So perhaps self-reflection is the key to finding our own ikigai.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us here